Okay, I think we're all good to go. Third time lucky. So, good morning from Marrakesh, everyone. And yeah, the Wi-Fi is a little bit dodgy, so I'm really hoping that this is going to work now. And thank you for joining me. Let me just get live on Instagram as well. Perfect. So just a little bit late today, but I was just having a few issues getting online. So welcome, and I hope everybody is okay. I hope you're all doing well. So I'm super excited. Is live, and the reason being is I'm coming to you from Morocco, where I'm currently hosting a yoga retreat. And so this is a yoga retreat for my business, Good Yoga Life. And the retreats really are just a favorite part of my year. Okay, so last year I hosted 7 yoga retreats abroad, and yeah, so now I'm kind of just kicking off the retreat season for 2018. I'm hosting 2 retreats in Morocco. So the first 5-night retreat finishes tomorrow, so my guests leave tomorrow, and then the second retreat starts on Thursday, so I'll have another 10 people coming to me here in this gorgeous villa just outside of Marrakesh. They'll be joining me on Thursday. So for those of you that are just joining me on Instagram, sorry for the delay. Just a few technical issues, technical issues there, just getting and the Wi-Fi seems to be so all good. Let me know that you can hear me. That would be a good start. And do let me know if you have any questions. I'm talking to you today about organising and hosting yoga retreats, and just sharing with you some of my experiences from hosting yoga retreats. So, so hello. Let me know where you're calling it, where you're watching, and yeah. So basically, I'm going to give you a little bit of background, I guess. So I started Good Yoga Life a few years ago, and I hosted my very first yoga retreat in October 2016, which I'll talk to you about in a little while. That was my very first retreat, and then last year I hosted 7 retreats that all sold out in 2017. So I'm just about, well, now I'm just kicking off the 2018 retreat season with my retreats here in Morocco. So that's where I am today. It's where I'm calling in from. And yeah, I've got 10 ladies at the moment on that retreat, which finishes tomorrow. We've had time so far. We've done lots of yoga, obviously, and we've had some trips out. So we went to the markets, to the souks, to do some shopping, and we ate in a beautiful restaurant, and we've been to the botanical gardens, La Chorelle Botanical Gardens. We went to the Yves Saint Laurent Museum, which is next to the gardens, which was incredible. And today we're actually heading to the desert, and we'll be doing some yoga in the desert later on this afternoon, and that's going to be followed by a sunset underneath a traditional Berber tent with fire pits and the stars. So that's just going to be really magical and a really nice way to finish their 5 nights that they've spent here. So as I said, they'll be leaving tomorrow, and then I have the next group of 10 people arriving then on Thursday here at the same villa. Break, a day and a night break, and then it's starting it all back up again. So this is the second time that I'm on retreats here in Morocco in this same place, and so it's the second time that I've crafted this unique experience, and you know, made it even more special each time. And I guess that's what it's about. It's about refining the experience based on the feedback that you receive, and based on you know, how the whole retreat has gone. You can work to improve it the next time round. So many yoga teachers you know, want to run yoga retreats. And retreats are really becoming a booming part of the yoga industry, and more teachers are wanting to them. And it used to be that you could, get a big name teacher and then fill your based on that big name teacher, but things are really starting to change, and especially in many cities around the world, there are an abundance of really great yoga teachers, and there are hundreds of studios. There's studios on every corner. There's hundreds of workshops to choose from. There's so much going on, so much choice, and this is becoming the same with retreats. Yeah, so you can find more and more retreats are being offered at some really magical locations all over the world. So actually, with this, it becomes even more important to build those relationships with your students and to find ways to make sure that your retreat really stands out. So a little bit more work involved in helping you to fill your retreats and to make sure that you're offering a really good experience for your guests. So what I'll talk to you about today is just kind of run through the steps that I go through to craft those experiences for your guests. And if you get it right, hosting a retreat or hosting your retreat can be really rewarding experience, but it can also be really overwhelming and stressful if you don't have the right processes and the right mindset in place from the start. So before I go on to share with you some of my own experiences from hosting retreats, I want to just give you an overview of some of the ways that you can go about hosting retreats, because there are different kind of business models. And there is essentially 4 ways that you can go about hosting a retreat. Okay, so the first is to be booked by a retreat company and teach on their retreats. Okay, so your sole responsibility, if you've been booked by a retreat company, is to teach the class. Okay, you don't need to worry about anything else. The company that you are teaching for, they have responsible for promoting the retreat. They're responsible for filling the spaces, and most of the time that company will cover your travel. Okay, so they'll pay for your travel, they'll offer you accommodation, and they'll pay for your time. But that's not always the case. Okay, so it really does vary depending on the company that you're teaching for. Okay, so that's one way to kind of some experience involved in retreats and seeing how they run. And then the next way to host a retreat is to work with a retreat center. Okay, so with this type of setup, if you're working with a retreat center, and there are yoga retreat centers all over the world, this setup, the center will do most of the organizing, and they'll do all the logistics and everything else, the chefs, and all of that kind of thing, and the food and the menus. And you'll be responsible for the promotion and fulfilling the spaces on the retreat. So that's your job, is to bring the students. And usually the retreat center will charge you student or per room. Okay, so they will charge you a set amount, and you'll have to pay them a deposit and everything else. So you'll need some of that investment up front. And then your profit margin, or your opportunity profit, is basically what you charge on top of that cost that the retreat center has given to you for the student or for the room. Okay, so many kind of venues, they'll have a specific contract in place, and they'll sort of predetermined costs for the meals, or maybe any fees that they offer as well. And again, it's a good stepping stone to kind of get yourself into the whole process of hosting a retreat, and what's involved, especially the first time. They will kind of hold your hand yes, a lot of the way. But again, you know, you are responsible for bringing the people along. So then there's another option that is kind of a go-between, you know, a go-between using a retreat center and doing it yourself. And that's essentially what I'm doing here in Morocco. Okay? So I work with a villa owner, and the villa owner has an agency that they work with. So this agency is essentially a tourist agency, okay? And the villa comes with a housekeeper who is part of the package, you know, what happens is I have a point of contact here through that agency, which makes things easier. And actually, you know, when I was here in September, it was the first time that I've hosted a retreat that I actually felt like I was on a retreat. Or maybe not to that extent, but it did make things a lot easier for me, and less stressful, I guess, as well. So it takes the pressure off a little bit, which is really great, and just gives you a chance to have a little bit of an extended team, okay, especially if you're working on your own and you don't have anyone else to help, you know, help with the logistics and the running of things as well. So what else can I tell you? So basically, yeah, so here in Morocco, there are some things that I've organised, and then the villa owner, you know, recommends some activities to me. So such as the dinner that we've got this evening. So yeah, like I said, it's kind of like a wingman to help you to organise things. So some of the girls today have gone back to the market taxis, so I've been able to do that through the agency. And actually it is a really good kind of setup, because I don't know the local area here, and you know, not if in comparison to a location like Ibiza, you know, Ibiza, I've been visiting Ibiza since my early 20s, so I know the islands. I know, you know, how things work out there. So it's much easier for me to organize things myself. Whereas here in Morocco, I don't know the location as well. So if that's you, then it's definitely worth looking into perhaps using an agency or using someone who's got that local knowledge. Okay, so it definitely has its advantages. Because, you know, running a retreat is really hard work, especially if you're doing it yourself, okay? But the best way to maximize your profits is to organize everything yourself, okay? And this is what I do in Ibiza and also in France. So, you know, this, of course, is much more work, and you need to have that local knowledge to do everything yourself, okay? So, like I said, I've been traveling there since my early 20s. I've probably been on the island about 20 times in the last 15 years. So I know the island really well. And then again in France, where I've run retreats in France, I've been to that spot many weekends to go surfing. So again, I know the area well. So it's really important to have that local knowledge. If you don't have, to visit the area beforehand, visit the venue, and can't, you know, have someone there like an agency that you can work with, okay? So if you do visit the location and the venue beforehand, you do need to cost that into your overall budget for the retreat, okay? So for instance, I'm off to Sri Lanka next month to source for a retreat I'm going to be in early 2019. And so that flight and the cost of my trip whilst I'm there, those costings will be added into my overall budget for that specific retreat in Sri Lanka next year. And one of the biggest mistakes that teachers make is to not be really clear on their budget, okay? Because there are lots of hidden costs that you might forget about. and you really should spend a lot of time, you know, going through the specifics on what's involved on the run up to the retreat, as well as what's involved every single day. So the specifics of what you're doing every single day, there might be costs, whether that's or, you know, working with other suppliers to provide activities such as paddleboarding or cycling or whatever it might be. And then also, are there any costs after the retreat as well? So being really crystal clear and writing everything down, every single cost that's going to be involved in your retreat. Okay? But the rest of my chats today is really based on, you know, on this last option of doing everything yourself. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, is like my experiences from hosting retreats where I've done everything myself, because that's what I've predominantly done for 6 retreats that I've run so far. Okay, and when you're doing everything yourself, there are some things that you'll have to do. Okay, so in fact there are many things that you'll have to do, and some of those include choosing a location. Okay, so you'll have to choose your location. Back on Instagram now, the Wi-Fi got a bit rubbish. Can you all see me on Instagram? Give me a wave if we're back up there in live. So choosing your location, looking for and booking a suitable venue. Okay, so a suitable venue means space for yoga, and creating a theme for your retreat, because that's going to really help you, you know, when you come to start promoting your retreat and to attract the right type of people to your retreat. And also bringing together a dream team, so a group of people that you're going to work with that are going to help you to create a really good experience for your guests and help with the smooth running of everything. Designing the agenda and overall experience, so crafting the experience is something you'll have to spend quite a bit of time on. Working with a chef to create a menu, okay? And implementing the marketing campaign and the promotion across your email, website, social media, perhaps flyers, perhaps Facebook ads. Dealing with inquiries, okay? I get a lot of inquiries by email, so you need to be prepared for those. Managing the actual bookings themselves, okay? So, you know, when I did my retreats last month, not last month, May, that was 36 people who had booked onto those 3 retreats. Okay, so that's 36 people that you have to manage. You have to manage those bookings, manage their questions and queries so that they have all of the information that they need. And then ensuring that you have terms and conditions and also insurance in place as well. Okay, so there's some of the things that you'll have to do when you are creating a retreat DIY way and doing everything yourself. Okay, so I've now led 9 yoga retreats. This is going to be my 9th one, but you know, my very first one was a huge learning experience for me. Went into it with the sole intention to learn. Okay, that was my main aim, was just to learn. So at the time, I'd been running a lot of events on the run up, and I've been really focused on building my email list as well. And lots of my students had been asking me if I was going to do a retreat. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to go for it. So I booked a villa in Ibiza, host a 3-night retreat at the end of October in 2016. Okay, released it to my email list in the August, and 12 spaces booked up within a couple of days. And then I also had a waiting list as well. So what I decided to do is I decided to book the villa next door. I don't like to keep things super easy for myself. You've got to realize this. But basically, I was throwing myself in the deep end. But with that came masses of learning. Okay, so I learned so much, which was really great. So you might be thinking, you know, wow, that's amazing, you know, that I filled 2 villas and had 18 people book to join me for that long weekend in Ibiza for my very first yoga retreat. And those bookings happened within days. But actually, I priced the retreat, okay? It was affordable. It was just a few £100, okay? So that obviously made it even more attractive to the community that I had been building up. So that's really important, is I did already have a community. The community were there, they were coming to my events, they were reading my emails, they were there, and then when I was super attractive and affordable retreat, they jumped on it. So I think, you know, looking back at that experience, I would put that down to the fact that I wasn't confident in myself and confident in the community that I had built at the time. So the thoughts that were going through my head, would they really want to buy into something that was higher, that was a higher price than a yoga class or a yoga event that they've been attending? So I guess that was my fear at the time, is I was too scared to price it at the real price that it should have been priced at. So my costings for filling the villa gave me, or my profit gave me a very modest, maybe £500 profit. And for me at the time, I was okay with that, because I was going into it with the mindset of learning. I wanted to learn from the experience so that I could make my future retreats really attractive and amazing. Okay, so you know, that's kind of where I was with it. But then when I filled the second villa, I did actually end up coming home with a couple of £1,000 profit. So you could say success. Okay, actually, you know, having 18 people attend your very first yoga retreat was a huge learning experience for me. And I was able to get feedback from 18 people through a survey that I sent out after the retreat. I was also able to get testimonials to help me to the next retreat, which was really good. And I got content, okay? So I made it my mission when I was there over those 3 days to take lots of photos, to take videos, to collect content, so that when I was going to promote my next retreat, I had it all there to help me with that process. Okay, so the next retreat after that particular one took place in May 2017, and I actually launched the retreat when the October retreat finished. So I think on the last day of the October retreat, I launched the May retreat, because I've been building up that buzz. I've been posting on Instagram and Facebook and, you know, doing all the stories and live videos and everything. I've been building up the buzz. People could see what I was doing. And then I launched, timed the launch so that when the October retreat finished, you could then come and book the May retreat. So it was kind of like building that buzz and kind of riding on that buzz. What I did in May is I hosted 3 back-to-back retreats. Okay, so I hosted 3 back-to-back retreats. They were 4-night retreats. So I did a 4-night, a day break, day and night break, 4 nights. Okay, my profit was over £10,000 for essentially 12 nights of hosting. So it is totally possible to make a 5-figure profit from hosting yoga retreats. Okay, that was 36 people in total. So I'm going to talk you through now 4 key points based on my experiences hosting these retreats. Okay, hopefully you've got a lot from this conversation already. If you've got any questions about what you've heard already, if you've got any questions that are coming up, maybe you're wanting to feature them, just pop them in the chat. We'll include them. So let's talk about. So first up, I want to start with your students. Okay. So your audience, okay? So if you're thinking about running a retreat, you really need to time talking to some students, okay? So students that classes, your regular students, talk to them, ask them if they would be interested in attending a yoga retreat with you. It's such a simple thing, and it's such an easy thing that you can do, okay? So ask locations they'd like to visit, ask them what sort of things they would like to do on a retreat, any kind of extra activities, and then even ask them about their availability. Okay, especially if you've got some real interest there. And this is a really great way to gauge interest, which will help to take the pressure off when you come to promote and launch your retreat. If you've already got some interest there from your existing students, it's going to help massively to take the pressure off. Okay, and then you might send out a survey. Okay, so if you've got an you want to be creating a little survey, and this is definitely what I've done previously. Send out a little survey and find out what the interest is, and find out what type of retreats your students want to attend. Okay, and this is really, really, really important, because you want to be able to craft your experience, which is the next point, based on the needs and wants of your students. You want to create something that your students really want. It's going to make it so much easier for you to fill out your retreat and to fill their places. So the second point is crafting the experience. Okay? So with the feedback you receive from your students, you can start to craft the retreat experience. And this step also has a number of elements, from choosing the location and finding a venue, to bringing the right people on routine. We've talked about some of this already. Choosing a theme for your retreat and creating the agenda. Okay, so location is one of the biggest considerations for people who are interested in going on a retreat, and the options there for you are just endless. Okay, travel as well is crucial detail for determining your retreat. So you want to consider things like, you know, how far away is it from an airport? How expensive is the travel going to be? Can you drive there? How do you get from the airport to the transportation, activity? All of these answers decide whether it is a dream location to work accurately and smoothly during the retreat, and whether it's financially feasible for you and your students as well. Okay, when you choose a venue, you want to make sure that there's space for yoga. Okay, not just outside, but is there also some kind of indoor space that can be used if there's bad weather? And ultimately, you know, planning a successful retreat is really about crafting an experience that your students are going to love. Okay, so, you know, you want to visualize the kind of space that you would like to create for your students, and let that visualization guide you through the planning process. Okay, does that make sense? No. Okay, it's really about tapping into what it is that you would like to create for your students and that you know that they would enjoy. So, you know, here in Morocco, where I am now, the retreat has been, well, I've crafted an experience that is really about offering a real, authentic Moroccan experience. So for the through trips that are included in the retreat, such as the trips to the souks, the trips to the desert, the homemade Moroccan food, you know, my guests will leave the retreat really feeling like they've experienced some of Morocco, okay, as well as the yoga experience. They've got this real Moroccan experience as well. And the retreat is purposely crafted in that way to provide this, you know, magical Moroccan experience. That's how it's being crafted. And, you know, before I plan any retreat, I visualize the experience I want to create. And this experience is an authentic extension of me. Okay, so it's the type of retreat that I would book in locations that I would love to visit, and it's packed with the types of activities that I would like to enjoy. And this is because my students that attend my yoga classes, they will resonate with that type of experience, okay? And when you come to promote your retreat to your students, it's going to be much, much easier to fill the spaces on your retreats if you've really visualized and connected with the type of experience that you want to offer your students. Okay, does that make sense? Those of you on Instagram and Facebook, give me a thumbs up if that makes sense to you. Okay, and it really does amaze me with every retreat that I've hosted so far. It really amazes me how, excuse me, how, you know, each group is really a like-minded group of people. Okay, we've lost the Instagram connection, unfortunately. So hopefully they'll pop over to Facebook if they want to continue watching. So just let me know actually on Facebook. Can you hear and see me okay? Please let me know. As I said, the Wi-Fi connection here is not great. So I'm hoping you can all see me. So give me a thumbs up or a like if you can hear me and see me on Facebook. So yeah, so the types of people that attend each retreat, they just, it amazes me every time because they are like-minded and they, you know, they just all seem to get on very well together, and it really is incredible. And I think when you stay true to you, you start to attract the right people. And this is really fundamental to the success of your retreat, okay? And I don't just mean in the success to, thank you very much, Suze Young, thanks. I don't just mean the success in filling the spaces, but I also mean the success in everything running as it should. So the logistics, the schedule, the vibe of your retreat, all of these things coming together and flowing as they should, okay? When you've got the right people there, all of these things seem to magically come together. It really does make a huge difference to, you know, the smooth running of your retreat and just the experience, the atmosphere, the vibe, everything, okay? And really, you know, ultimately that's what you want to achieve, okay? Part of this is also down to the people that you bring on board. So when you're crafting your experience and you're visualizing what it is that you want to offer to your students, you need to think about who else you're going to bring onto your team, your dream team, okay? So I always bring, excuse me one moment. I always bring another teacher with me, and that teacher will teach the majority of the classes and the workshops. I usually teach a couple of classes in the morning, okay? And the reason why I do this is because that leaves me to deal and oversee with the management of the day, okay? So what I found in the early days when I was teaching a class every day was that when I had to deal with transport and, you know, the suppliers of activities, whether that might be paddleboarding or whatever it is, and dealing with the inquiries or the queries or anything that the guests need, you know, perhaps making arrangements for them. Like today, some of my guests have gone off to the markets again. Maybe even driving around and doing extra food shopping. I definitely do that when I'm in Ibiza. What I found is when I had to do all of these things, I just didn't have the headspace to then teach a class in the evening, especially in the evening. So what I do is I teach a maximum of 2 classes during the retreat, and they are always in the morning. They're always morning classes when I've got more energy, more headspace, and can really deliver a great class. Essentially, I take on event organizer role. Okay, so I'm there really just to ensure the smooth running of everything. And so I bring on another teacher to teach the majority of the classes and to help with the hosting. And then I also bring a chef. And the chef is someone that I know. It's someone that I worked with on previous retreats and events in London. And I work with the chef to create the menu. So the typical schedule will include 2 classes, 2 yoga classes a day. So you might have a more dynamic class in the morning, and then a more restorative class perhaps, or a workshop in the evening or before dinner. And then during the day you might offer trips, or any other kind of excursions, or just the opportunity just to chill out by the pool. Okay, so just to finish up on this second point, which is about crafting your experience, I just want to mention that you are essentially the host, okay? So on the first day of your retreat, you want to take the time to introduce everyone, introduce the students to each other. You might do some kind of icebreaker activities so that they start to get to know one another. Also to introduce the villa and, you know, the facilities on offer, and maybe even the surrounded area. You want to hang out with your students and, you know, create that connection with them, care for them, check in with them regularly on their goals and anything that they might need. Ask them what do they want to, you know, get out of their yoga practice. So before any retreat that I do, I send a survey to my guests and I collect this type of information from them. So I know what it is that they're wanting to get out of the retreat, if there are any specific poses that they want to really master whilst they're here. And it means that I can work with the other teacher to make that happen and to make that possible. Okay, so when I'm leading a retreat, I really think of myself as hostess and the venue as my home. And, you know, to be a good host, you really just need to anticipate people's needs. And that's it, really. Make them feel welcome. You know, think about the attention to detail. So things like maybe having some welcome gifts for them in their room, maybe a little welcome note. I do all of that and it always goes down really well. And, you know, just making sure they have everything they need before they arrive as well, making sure you send them a welcome pack and all of that good stuff. Okay, so the next up, the third out of 4 points is about promoting your retreat. And I mean, I could just do a Facebook Live on promoting retreats. There's so much to consider. But first up, if you are thinking about running a retreat in the future, the first thing that you want to do is get your students onto an email list. So you want to ask your students for their email addresses and get there and start building your email list if you don't already have one. Okay, so if you don't have an email list and you've never done any email marketing, what I want you to do is go onto my website, go to the free resources, and I want you to for the day list challenge. Okay, that's going to help you to get people on a list in a day. And then from that, I want you to then sign up for the 7-day email marketing kickoff. And it's going to help you to get connected with MailChimp, get all set up on MailChimp, get a welcome email set, so on. Okay, so if you want to fill your retreat, you need to have an email list. Okay, now let me tell you why this is really important. Now, when I ran my 3 retreats last May, so I did 3 back-to-back retreats for 36 people, 12 people on each retreat, 90% of those bookings, okay, 90% of the people that booked their space on one of those retreats on my email list. Okay, so those bookings came from a result of receiving my email. Okay, so that just goes to show how important it is. Okay, it's really important to have an email list. If you can work on nurturing the relationships with your students over time, which I did, yeah, then you're going to have more chance of filling places on your retreat. You're doing a retreat next year. Yeah, you have an entire year to build that relationship. Okay, an entire year to build and nurture those relationships over email. You want to offer them lots of value. You want to show to them who you are as a person and a yoga teacher and why they should go on a retreat with you. And when you do have your retreat and you do launch your retreat, they are going to be ready to book with you. Okay. So that's why it's really, really important. People see your offerings multiple times before they are ready to buy from you, okay? So they need to see your retreat multiple times across email and social media before they are ready to book. Okay, so show them who you are and get them to with you, your brand. So let's just talk about the actual promotional strategy and some of the things that you might do to launch and promote your retreat when you're ready. So first up, you need to think about the launch emails, okay, or email marketing in general. You're going to have a standalone launch email, which is just about the retreat, okay, and then you'll have some follow-up emails, okay. So those follow-up emails will probably be in normal newsletter, okay. Have specific social media posts, so you might start to plan a couple of posts each week as part of your overall schedule, and you want to focus on the benefits of the retreat, okay. When you're promoting your social media, promote the benefits rather than the features. So what are people going to get? Is it a nice relaxing time to switch off for a few days from their busy work schedule? Is it a time to, you know, connect with their friends and come away on holiday together? Is it a time to experience a new culture? Is that what the benefit from coming on a retreat with you? Focus on the benefits rather than the features. And then video, use video. So get onto Instagram Live and tell people about your retreat. They'll receive a notification from you that you're live. Tell them about the retreat. Show them how excited you are about your retreat, and get them to see, you know, the energy and what you've done, what you've put together to create this experience for them. Okay. And then, you know, maybe you might have a video of the location as well that you can share, which would be really great. And then you might create some flyers as well. So I do always spend a little, not much, I spend like $40 on flyers. And then when I have events, I share those flyers. I also regularly teach community classes at Lululemon, and sometimes there's 100 people that attend those classes, and I've definitely had bookings from people that have attended those classes and gone away with one of my flyers. Yeah, so for my retreat last year, my October retreat, I had 2 bookings from a Lululemon class. So think about that, think about how you work and partners to get your there as well. And, you know, mention your retreat at the end of each class, okay? If you've got a retreat on offer that's available and live, mention it to your students at the end of the classes. And testimonials. So if this is your first yoga retreat, you might not have a testimonial, but you do already teach students in your class. Okay, so ask existing students if they will create a testimonial about your class. Okay, you can certainly use that in the promotion of your retreat as well. Okay, so marketing happens organically when you're aligned with what it is that you're offering. Okay, so it's much easier to sell your retreat if you're excited about it. So you want to shout about your retreat from the rooftops, okay? Engage people one-to-one, shy about asking network to spread the news, okay? So in terms of the messaging, you want to personalize the copy by sharing the whys. So why are you excited about the retreat? Why did you pick the location and the venue and the theme? Why should students consider signing up? Start to incorporate all of this into your messaging and reflect your vision for the experience that you've created. Okay, it's really about buzz and creating some hype. So really don't be afraid to, you know, get that out there and to start sharing the retreat that you've created for your students. So the last thing I wanted to mention around promotion is really about pricing strategies. Okay, so use pricing strategies as well. So for this, I mean things like early bird pricing. okay, is a really good way to create that sense of urgency and to offer a discounted price for people who on. And then also might choose to do like a friend price. So for me, I always do that and it works super well. So I basically promote it's £100 off if you book with your friends. Now, if you're doing that, you want to make sure that you're still breaking even, at least breaking even on those places, that you're not losing a significant amount of money, or you know, it's not eating into your profits. So just work that out properly as well, that you can actually afford to do that. So the last point I want to, before I finish today, is really about self-care. Looking after yourself whilst you're on retreat, because running a retreat, especially if you're doing everything yourself, like I do when I'm in Ibiza, running a retreat is really hard work, okay? I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to play it down. It's hard doing everything yourself. 6 o'clock in the morning and at night, okay? You are there as the host, lots of stuff going on in the agenda, schedule, trips and things like that, and say you've got, you know, people maybe on the retreat, it's 14 people to look after and to make sure that they're all okay, and you know, just making sure that everything's fine with your team and everything's running as it should. It uses the brain power, okay? It uses a lot of space. You have to be prepared for that, and you have to make sure that you look at yourself as well. Okay, so for me, that, you know, making sure that I'm up early in the morning and having some headspace, some time for a little bit of meditation and breathing before I start my day is really important. I mean, you know, when you're running these retreats abroad, hopefully the sun is, you know, that's what I have to do, is up early, watch the sun come up, soak in the sunshine, and just get myself prepped for the day. Making sure that you continue with your own practice, okay? So it's great that I have a teacher here as well, because I can join in the class in the morning, so that's great. I get to do some practice. Taking time out. You don't need to be with your guests 24/7, okay? And to connect with one another as well, okay? So don't put the focus in setting, yeah? Your guests to connect with each other and to form those special friendships that can happen when you're on retreat. So, and you know, they really can happen. You know, I've got 2 girls that are joining me on the next retreat on Thursday, who both came individually to my October retreat in Ibiza. They were in the same room together. They had a friendship, and they've actually Morocco retreat together, so they didn't know each other previously. So these friendships form, but you have to allow that space to happen and be the focus of the conversations that are happening within the group. So that means you can give yourself that little bit of time, a little bit of space to maybe go to your room and just take some time, or whatever it is that you need to do, okay? And then the other thing I'll say around self-care is to take yourself off in the evening at a reasonable time, and make sure you get plenty of sleep. So on my retreats, dinner around 8 o'clock. This, you know, in fact, at most retreats actually, the guests usually stay up till about 11 o'clock, I'd say, although a couple of nights ago they were up until midnight. So you shouldn't feel like you have to stay with them until midnight or whatever time you decide to go to bed. Okay, so what I tend to do, around 9:30 to 10, I will take myself off. So I will say good night, and you know, I'll have a whatever, you know, just to relax and chill out and just have that little bit of time to myself and get a good night's sleep. Really, really, really important. So I think that's all I'm going to share with you today. I mean, I've shared quite a lot. I've been on here for 50 minutes already. So, you know, got any questions about anything that I've shared with you today, then please share with them in the comments underneath the Facebook chat rather than the Instagram one, so that I can come back to them and answer them for you. But I hope that's been useful for you. I hope you've got a lot from that. And, you know, running retreats, like I said at the very beginning, really is a highlight of my year. You know, it's an exciting time. It's wonderful to be able to provide that opportunity for people to come together and to, you know, really get immersed in yoga and to experience culture and to form new friendships. It really is a wonderful thing to do. So I definitely recommend it if it's something that you're thinking about, but it's really important just to make sure that you have good processes in place and you give yourself plenty of time to plan everything and to do it in the right order. And obviously that starts with, you know, your audience and your students. So if this is something you want to do, go and have a little chat with your students and then take it from there. So I hope that's been helpful. Thank you to those of you that have joined me today. And I will see you next Tuesday. Next Tuesday I'll be back in London, so hopefully the snow has shifted by then. But I'll be coming to you from London next week. All right, have a beautiful week, everybody, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye now.